Hello.
Okay, so in this task, this is task 3, this is the most difficult task because the proctor has to read the most and students have to summarize the information. So when you get to task 3, encourage students to take notes on what you are saying. Okay. I think that's it, right? Okay. In this part of the test, you will listen to some information. You are going to listen to some information about evaporation and condensation. As you listen, look at the pictures. You may take notes as you listen. When the presentation ends, you will summarize the information that you heard. You will explain evaporation and condensation, include all the steps in the demonstration, and use relevant details and clear language. Look at step 1, and while you're doing this, it's helpful if you point to the picture. That's okay to do. Look at step 1. It shows 2 glass containers connected by a glass tube. And as you're reading, if you want to point to the different things in the picture, that's fine. There is some liquid in one of the containers. The other container has no liquid. Both containers are sitting on a hot plate. It says brief pause. Just take a moment. If you see that they're quickly taking notes, maybe give them some time to stop writing. Look at step 2. It shows when the hot plate is turned on, the liquid in the first container becomes hot. The liquid evaporates and turns into steam or a gas. As you may know, evaporation is the process of a liquid changing into a gas. Then the gas moves through the tube to the second container. As you can see in the picture, after a few minutes, there is an equal amount of gas in both containers. Look at step 3. When the hot plate is turned off, the gas in the container slowly cools down. As it cools down, condensation begins. Condensation is the opposite of evaporation. Condensation is when gas changes back into a liquid. After a short period of time, all of the steam, that is, the gas, becomes liquid again. As you can see in the picture, there is now an equal amount of liquid in each container. That is because when the liquid was heated, the gas was divided equally between the 2 containers. This demonstrates how evaporation and condensation make it possible for water to move from place to place. This process is an important part of the water cycle. So you need to summarize the information you heard. Please be sure to explain evaporation and condensation and try to use all 3 steps in the demonstration to explain the summary.
Okay, so in the first step, they've set up 2 jars on top of a hot plate connected by a glass tube. I guess you'd say jar A has liquid in it, jar B does not have any, and the hot plate is turned off. Moving to step 2, the hot plate is turned on, so heat is now being conducted or moved into the 2 jars, and the liquid, over I think a period of minutes, turns from a liquid into a gas, which is evaporation. And then that gas equally distributes itself between both of the 2 jars, A and B. Then we move into step 3, where the hot plate has now been turned off. Therefore, the 2 jars are starting to cool down. The gas in them starts to cool down, and as it cools, as condensation happens, as it starts to, I guess again, cool down, the 2 liquids are equal in each jar because the gases had been equal in each jar. The end.
Okay, so this is the only task where it's a score of 4. Obviously, Mrs. Oxelson would get a 4. She talked about each step of the process of evaporation and condensation, and she correctly identified which part was evaporation and which part was condensation. She had a good summary. She included main points and connected her idea as well. Of course, our students are not going to have a perfect answer like this one, but if they identify each step of the way and they identify which parts are evaporation and condensation, and their grammar does not change the meaning of their sentences, we can assume that they have a 4. If you are unsure at any point, you could go to the next score under as a way to motivate and encourage them to continue to use their note-taking skills and complete sentences and academic language frames. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.